So Io is talking. We can't say what he said. What is the next thing that happens on your end with Mr. Depp?
It just made Johnny madder. He got more upset, grabbed the phone, and started screaming at Io. He just started screaming at the top of his lungs, said, "You dyke bitch, you don't know what you're talking," just screaming expletives, insulting names, and telling Io that he can have me and, fuck off, and just screaming at him. That's best I can describe it without getting into the details. He tosses the phone, down on the couch and heads upstairs. I pick up the phone and try to, apologize for the fact that my husband at the time just screamed at my friend on a cold call. I didn't want Io to think that's why I had called Io, to just be screamed at and blamed for something that sounded crazy, for lack of a better explanation. It sounded crazy. Io said something to me on speakerphone, and reminded me I wasn't safe.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Your Honor, it's not offered to prove the truth of the matter. It's to show what caused Mr. Depp to be set off and come back. I mean, it's not offered to prove the truth of what he's saying. It's not hearsay.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. Please tell us what Io said and what then happened with Mr. Depp.
Io said, "Amber, get out of the house. Get out of the house now. You're not safe. Get out of that house." Io had been there after the cleanup, or for the cleanup, after December 15th, 2015 incident. And
Objection, Your Honor,
blood out of my
non-responsive.
pillowcases.
I think she can provide the context.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay. So please continue.
Johnny hears this when he's on the stairs. He made it up one flight of stairs. Heard this, turned around, came bolting down the stairs, grabbed the phone from my hand, and really started screaming this time. Lit into Io, called Io every imaginable horrible name that you can say to a LGBTQIA person, for one, and any person, any human being ever. I mean, just screamed at Io some really nasty stuff. And when he was done, he says, you want to have my woman now. You want to have my bitch. You can have, you take her, you can have her. And he, with that, picks up, just pulls his arm back with the phone and throws it at my face. Hit me right in it felt like my eye. I put my head in my hands and immediately start crying. I said, "You hit me with the phone. Johnny, you hit me." And I'm sitting on the couch. I didn't even have time to react, I didn't even have time to put my hands up. I was still sitting cross-legged in my socks on the couch, and I haven't seen him for a month. And several times now that I've seen him, he's hit me, and I didn't even have time to react to this. He comes over to me as I'm crying, and he does that taunting thing to me. He says, "Oh yeah, I hit you, huh? I hit you, yeah?" And he just feels like whacks me on top of my head. Just this heavy ringed hand landed on top of my skull, grabs me by the hair, yanks me up off the couch. I'm struggling to stand up. And I don't know if he was intending to hit me in the face, or if he was just trying to grab my face, but he was making this gesture around my face to try to expose my face to him. And he was like, "Yeah, let me see how bad I hurt you. Let me see it. Let me see how bad I hurt you this time. What if I pull your hair back? What if I pull your hair back?" And he yanks my hair back. I'm trying to prevent him from landing the blows to my face. I'm trying to prevent my face from being exposed. And I just remember this mocking taunt he was doing with me as he is yanking me around the room. And then I hear my friend come into the room. I hear her. Johnny hears her too. He lets go of me and turns. And
Just tell the jury who your friend is.
Raquel, my best friend at the time, who lived in the neighboring apartment, she came in, and Johnny moved towards her, and she ran towards me. Johnny looked at her, looked at me. I retreated to the only place I had to go, which is the corner room where the couch was. I retreated kind of to the couch, and Raquel and Johnny both ran up to me. Raquel got in front of Johnny. She kind of managed to get right in front of him, in between he and I. And I'll never forget it, just very slowly, calm, in just a very slow but very concentrated, very controlled, slow way, just put both of her arms, her hands up like this, and like I've seen people do with horses. That's what it reminded me of. She just went, "No, no, Johnny, no." And she just got in front of us, in between us, put both of her palms out. Johnny kind of squared off to her and ran into her arms, and she just repeated herself very slowly, very calmly, very directly. He hit both of her arms off of his chest like that and barreled towards me. I instinctively curl up on the couch, and I just feel her arms come around me, next to me. She was sitting on my left next to me on the couch, and I just feel her arms around me. And I'm just looking down at the carpet, feeling her arms. And that's when Johnny, who I can see partially and hear, is right in front of me, and he's screaming at me to get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up. Amber, get the fuck up. And every single time he said it, he's screaming it louder and louder and louder. I think he screamed it probably about 10 times, so loudly. The next thing I hear is, "Boss, boss." And I realize that his 2 security guards had come into the apartment after Raquel. I see them or hear them, and Johnny turns to them, and I see Jerry say, "Boss, boss." And I get up off the couch and I say to Jerry,
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted at all.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right.
Next one.
So don't tell us what you said to Jerry, just what happened next.
then they tell him something. And he picks up the bottle that I guess he walked in with. It was a
This is
Magnum.
Mr. Depp or Jerry?
I'm sorry, Johnny.
Okay.
And starts smashing things off the nightstand, the coffee table, starts screaming, and they kind of, I feel them kind of corral him. I'm not making direct eye contact, but I can kind of just sense and feel and sound and hear things smashing as he exits the apartment, kind of knocking things off the countertops and breaking things on the way. I realize he's punching something. I assume it was the picture because it broke right after he walked past it. And he leaves that apartment. I hear him in the hallway, still screaming. I hear more doors opening, more racket. Eventually, Josh, Raquel's husband, comes into the room and brings me to safety, brings Raquel and I to safety in their apartment. And that's where I stayed for the next few hours.
So who called the police?
I believe it was
Objection calls for
Io.
speculation.
Your Honor, this is not, we have to have the context here of somebody called the police, because then the police come. So I think we have to put, I mean, it's not offered again to prove the truth of the matter asserted, it's just who called the police.
Your Honor, the objection is not hearsay. It's speculation.
Do you know who called the police?
Yes, I do now.
I'll sustain the objection.
All
Next
right.
question.
Did you have a were you present when there was a discussion about calling 911?
Objection calls for hearsay.
I'm asking if she was
I'll
present.
sustain the objection. Next question.
Did you call 911?
No.
Okay. Did Rocky call 911?
Objection calls for speculation.
Do you know whether Rocky called 911?
I do know whether she did.
And did she?
She did not.
Okay. All right. So what happens, when did you learn that the police had been called?
Roughly an hour, at some point shortly after Johnny and his security guards left.
Okay. And what did you do as a result of knowing that the police were coming?
I felt panicked. I didn't know what to do because I didn't know what they were going to do when they saw the state of the place. He'd also smashed up the other apartment where I kept all my things. So I didn't know what they were going to do. And I panicked. I called the only lawyer I have, which is my entertainment lawyer. He does like my movie contracts and stuff. And I asked him for advice.
And then without telling what he said, what happened next?
I called a domestic relations attorney after that conversation.
And had you known this domestic relations attorney before then?
No, I did not.
Did you get that name from your entertainment attorney?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when you called the domestic relations attorney, without saying what she said, what did you do as a result?
I told the police officers who arrived that I would not
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Again, not offered to prove the truth of the matter asserted.
All right. I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I repeated to the officers, I refuse to cooperate at this time at the advice of my attorney.
Okay. Did you call your publicist that night?
No.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you to take a look at some pictures, but before I get there, I want to just ask you a couple of questions leading up. What were you doing when the police officers arrived?
At that time, after I learned that they were coming, my best friend took pictures of me. We took pictures of the house and my face.
Okay. I'm going to, and did your best friend take any pictures while the officers were there?
We took pictures before and while they were there and after.
Okay.
We took pictures throughout.
Okay. So I'm going to take you now, Michelle, can you bring up Defendant's Exhibit 706? I think we can do the native on this one. Yes, thank you. Does this accurately depict the scene portrayed?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, I'd like to move the admission of Defendant 706.
No objection.
706 in evidence and published.
And would you please describe to the jury what this is a picture of?
This is my face after Johnny threw a phone at it.
Okay. I'm going to now, Michelle, ask you to pull up Defendant's 708. And does this accurately depict the scene portrayed in this picture?
Yes, it does.
All right. And I also see that there is a little, what we call metadata item on there. How do you get that on a picture? How does that happen? Can you just describe briefly?
Objection, Your Honor. That's speculation, lack of foundation.
If you want to approach.
Yeah.
Can you please explain how this particular item on here got onto the pictures?
It's a feature that was on iPhotos, you know, where your pictures are stored on your phone. Typically, you just push info.
And was that pushed in these instances?
I
of
pushed
these pictures?
info, and that's what came up.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of defendants 708.
The objection to 708?
Your Honor, I would just ask the picture be redacted on hearsay grounds
Your Honor, I
for the metadata.
Okay, if you want
alleged
to approach again.
metadata.
Okay.
Your Honor, one moment, please. I'm
All
just
right.
trying to figure out how to move this faster.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move the admission of 708 with the redaction, Your Honor.
Okay, any objection to that?
There still needs to be another redaction at the top, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll get it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 708 with the redactions, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would also like the record to reflect that we're publishing this to the jury?
Yes, no objection, correct?
Okay.
Yes. There we go.
Okay. I would like the record to reflect that this was the photo that was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon. as
Objection, Your
Exhibit
Honor.
20
That is-
Your Honor, we
that
couldn't
is
put him in
inappropriate, Your
because
Honor.
we hadn't identified him. Now the jury should be entitled to know which photo
Your Honor,
was
we ask
shown
that we
as that
approach-
exhibit.
Okay, we can approach.
This is
That's fine.
inappropriate.
So for the record, this particular photo was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as Exhibit 24 in both of the depositions that were shown earlier where the pictures were not allowed to be shown yet because they hadn't been admitted. Amber, will you please describe for the jury what is depicted in this photo?
Yes, that's a picture of my face taken that evening, shortly before 9:30, after Johnny hit me with the phone.
Okay. Now we can take this one down and let's go to Defendant's Exhibit 709. And based on the court's ruling, I'm going to ask if you can redact that. Michelle, please. I move the admission of 709.
All right, any objection?
Not with redactions.
All right,
Thank you.
709 with redactions and evidence, you can publish.
If it could be published to the jury, Your Honor. Thank
It
you.
is.
And Your Honor, for the record, this is the photo that was shown to Officer Sines and to Officer Haddon as Exhibit 25 for both of their depositions.
Okay.
Amber, could you please describe for the jury what's depicted here?
That is my face after the phone incident. It's that night.
All right, let's bring Defendant 710, please. And Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of Exhibit 710. The redactions have been already placed on it.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right,
Thank you.
710 with redactions, you can publish.
If we could publish, Your Honor. And for the record, this photo was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon. It was Exhibit 26 for both of their depositions. And please describe for the jury what's depicted here, Amber.
That is my face in yet a different light that same evening after Johnny hit me with the phone.
Okay. Let's go ahead and go to Defendant's Exhibit 711. And I'm going to move the admission of 711, Your Honor, with the redactions.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, 711 with redactions and evidence, publish.
And for the record, Your Honor, for the jury's purposes, this was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as Exhibit 27 to both of their depositions. And could you describe what's depicted here, Amber?
Yes, that is another angle, another lighting of my face after the phone
And
that
when,
evening.
And when you say angular lighting, what did Rocky do in taking these pictures?
Objection calls for speculation.
I said, what'd she do?
To overrule.
Thank you.
Raquel took pictures of my face in various places around the penthouse. The apartments have really different lighting, you know, really dark in some places. Anyway, so we just took pictures in different lighting so that we had an accurate portrayal and depiction of what had happened.
And why did you take the pictures?
Raquel did it to protect me because the cops were coming, and we knew we knew that the police. I think at this point that they were already here. They were with us, but we weren't. Maybe this was right before. I'm not quite sure without seeing the timestamp, but we weren't sure what was going to happen, what the police were going to say, what they were going to do. We didn't know what Johnny was going to do, what he was going to say, so she wanted to protect me.
Okay. So let's go ahead and bring up 712. All right, now move the admission of 712, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
No, thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right, 712 with redactions, you can publish.
Thank you, Your Honor. And please describe what's depicted here?
That is another picture of my face,
Okay.
taken around the same time.
Okay. And then let's go to 713. Move the admission of 713, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, 713 with redactions. Any published?
And for the record, this one was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as well as Exhibit 29 to both of their depositions. And just describe briefly to the jury what this is.
This is another picture of my face taken at the exact same time and in the same location as the other one, just with one of the lights turned on, or an additional light turned on in the previous one.
Okay. Let's go to 714. Move the admission of 714, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right, 714 with redactions. Any published?
And please tell the jury what this depicts.
This is another angle of my face or another picture of my face taken at a different time. I don't know if this is later or before because I can't see the time on it.
Okay. If you take that down, let's go to 715. I'm going to move the admission of 715, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right, 715 with redactions. In evidence, any published?
Thank you. And for the record, this one was shown to Officer Sines and Officer Haddon as Exhibit 17 for both. Please describe for the jury what's depicted here.
That is a picture of my face. Some point later on in the night, it looks like that was taken in Rocky's apartment or in the apartment that she was staying in.
Okay. And let's go to 716.